Hello, and welcome to my talk about the SABICAS project. My name is Benjamin Kupilas, and I'm a researcher with the Norwegian Institute for Water Research, NIVA, in Oslo, Norway. I'm also project manager for SABICAS. In SABICAS, we work with nature-based solutions along rivers to safeguard biodiversity and to improve climate adaptation in pressurized river catchments. Nature-based solutions are actions that leverage nature and the power of healthy ecosystems to protect people, to optimize our infrastructures, and to safeguard a more stable and biodiverse future. Already today, there are a series of documented positive effects of nature-based solutions for both people and nature, especially when they are seen in context and placed where they have the greatest effect. Then they can provide more holistic climate adaptation and nature management. And improved biodiversity, for example, provides benefits for society. The optimal placement of nature-based solutions is still often subject to research. However, when strategically placed on larger spatial scales, they probably provide greater social benefits than only gray solutions. The most commonly used definitions of nature-based solutions come from the EU and the United Nations Environment Programme. The EU defines nature-based solutions as features that bring more nature and natural processes into cities, landscapes, and seascapes. They contribute to economic development, create jobs, and contribute to people's well-being. The United Nations Environment Programme formally adopted the definition of nature-based solutions as actions to protect, conserve, restore, sustainably use, and manage natural or modified ecosystems, which address social, economic, and environmental challenges while simultaneously providing human well-being, ecosystem services and resilience, and biodiversity benefits. From a river management perspective, nature-based solutions can be seen as ways to adapt to climate change, such as heavy rainfall events and flooding, by imitating or restoring natural features along rivers. And at the same time, they provide biodiversity protection. These definitions acknowledge that nature can bring benefits to nature and society, including our economy, the security of infrastructures, human health, and the quality of life in general. Nature-based solutions encompass a wide range of approaches to address societal problems, from the restoration of habitats to water resource management. And nature-based solutions can range on a scale of naturalness, as shown here. They range from near natural ecosystems requiring protection and conservation, through degraded ecosystems requiring improvement and restoration, to the creation and imitation of functions in rehabilitated ecosystems, to more technical living solutions. The natural and restored ecosystems should ideally be self-sustained, whereas the others need more and constant maintenance. All of these types, however, fall under the umbrella of nature-based solutions. Traditional stormwater management systems have been designed to manage water levels and to transport excessive rainwater out of our landscapes. Typical examples of such grey infrastructures that are not nature-based solutions are shown here. We have some channelized river sections with concrete embankments, or culverted and piped river sections to channel water. Riparian forest buffers, or riparian woodlands on the other hand, are nature-based solutions. They are found at the interface between water and land and can provide significant benefits related to water quality and flood control. They mitigate negative effects in catchments where human land uses have strong impacts. They can, for example, protect stream banks from erosion, can filter for pollutants before they enter the river, reduce flood damage, and can create wildlife habitat, both in water and on land. They provide shade to streams, which is particularly important considering the increasing average temperatures and heat events, and they often improve the aesthetic values of landscapes. These are types of nature-based solutions that we use in SABICAS. SABICAS is a collaborative project funded by the Norwegian Research Council with a total of 20.5 million Norwegian kroners over 4 years. The project started in June 2021 and will end in May 2025. That means we just approached our second year. The project is run by NIVA with a total of 11 partners, both from research and non-research organizations. The overall goals for SABICAS are to protect biodiversity and to increase climate adaptation with a focus on flooding and temperature effects. We want to reduce erosion and transport of nutrients, and in the end, develop a user-friendly toolbox for nature-based solutions in Norwegian river catchments. Nature-based solutions often require land in areas where agriculture, roads, and housing development already requires a lot of space. So it is key to balance societal land use needs with the need to protect biodiversity and adapt to climate change in a more sustainable land use future. In SABICAS, we focus on 3 types of nature-based solutions. I already introduced our forested riparian buffers as one type of nature-based solutions. We also actively work with floodplains and wetlands. They both can secure and regulate water supplies and protect infrastructures from flooding and landslides. They can potentially filter pollutants and also have positive effects for biodiversity. In SABICAS, we will provide knowledge which types and properties of nature-based solutions are most effective in achieving the goals, and we will create a tool that can help the future management of Norwegian rivers. For example, the project will inform which characteristics or what design of nature-based solutions, including their spatial configuration, are optimal for salmon and fish. The operational unit in SABICAS is the river catchment. That means we will address specifically the river management at the catchment scale to quantify benefits and co-benefits of implementing nature-based solutions to both freshwater-dependent biodiversity and human society, always considering a future with increased land use pressure and a changing climate. In SABICAS, we will optimize the use of these 3 types of nature-based solutions: wetlands, forest buffers, and floodplains at the catchment scale. That means where to place the different types of nature-based solutions to have optimal effects. This, of course, requires tools, knowledge, and guiding instructions on how to embed nature-based solutions into policy frameworks. Using a catchment approach allows for us to better balance the trade-offs and maximize benefits from nature-based solutions. This involves a participatory design and implementation using diverse forms of knowledge, managing the full suite of benefits and trade-offs across landscapes and stakeholders, and implementing nature-based solutions as part of an integrated sustainability strategy. In SABICAS, we therefore aim to support a gradual land transition from a status quo where land use pressures are often high. For example, we still often have flood walls set very close to the river channel. We often have land use that includes deforestation and conversion of wetlands. The breaking of flood walls often leads to the flooding of agricultural or also urban areas, and an investment to reduce flood risk features construction of additional flood dams. We want to transform and transition this into a land use where nature-based solutions are integrated into the management. That means a land use that emphasizes the protection or restoration of riparian forests, of floodplains and wetlands. In SABICAS, we co-produce and build knowledge from 2 case catchments in Norway, from Gausa and from Halmarsdraget, and I will briefly introduce the 2 catchments on the next 2 slides. We use knowledge from other projects and parts of the country and from international collaboration, not least from 3 international partners we have in our consortium. We have a partner in Sweden, in Denmark, and in Germany. SABICAS is a transdisciplinary project, and we combine natural and social science, and in the consortium are both scientists and practitioners in local government and interest organizations, and all of us working together. We also actively work with all stakeholder groups, from local fishermen to farmers, local interest groups to politicians, through a wide range of activities. Stakeholders and living labs are 2 of the examples. One of our case catchments is called Gausa, which is located in south-central Norway, with an outlet just north of Lillehammer. It's a mountainous area of mid to high latitude, and the catchment area is around 940 square kilometers. One of the key challenges is a sedimentary deposition which causes flooding in lower parts. Land use is mainly forest, mountains, and agricultural land use. The second case catchment is called Haldenvassdraget, and it is in southeast Norway. It's a lowland catchment with a catchment area of almost 1,600 square kilometers. The modified landscape has an extensive change to rivers and floodplains through channelization, drainage, and erosion protection works. Land use is forest dominated with a lot of agricultural areas and some urban settlements. The term nature-based solutions might give the impression that the solution is already given, but there can be various perspectives and considerations that needs to be taken on different places, at different scales and administrative levels. In SABICAS, we are working jointly with practitioners and other stakeholders in both problem understanding and towards findings, both enabling and hampering factors for nature-based solutions, which jointly defines the next steps as we progress in the project. We work both in workshop settings and in outdoor field activities. For example, through open field mapping events, which is linked to citizen science activities in our project. We work in the two local case catchments in particular, but also with activities and actors at the regional and national level, and the results should be of relevance beyond the case catchments. We have demonstrations and workshops that will be open to a broad range of stakeholders, also from outside the case catchments, to explore and learn about functionality of nature-based solutions and how to optimize their use, design, and the implementation depending on the local context. To gain knowledge about the functionality of our different types of nature-based solutions, riparian buffers, wetlands, and floodplains, in various settings, always considering the local context, we run different analysis in SABICAS. For example, we use GIS analysis on climate and land use data and hydrological modeling in sub-catchment and catchment scales. And we assess biodiversity from existing data and from the collection of novel data for both freshwaters and riparian zones. We also study indicators of ecosystem services, and we look into the connectivity across both nature-based solutions and the river network. As an end product, SABICAS will develop a catchment-based toolbox for our NBS portfolio, considering riparian buffers, wetlands, and floodplains. In the SABICAS toolbox, nature-based solutions can be placed across the catchment so that benefits and co-benefits can be optimized. Benefits for biodiversity, for example, could relate to fish communities. Climate adaptation would relate to temperature increases and flood protection. Co-benefits relate to the mitigation of negative effects from other land use stressors. I hope I could awake your interest in our SABICAS project and the work we continue to do within the next 3 years. We have a webpage which can be accessed under sabicas.no. And if you want to get in touch, of course, you can write me a direct email, but we also have a SABICAS web mail, which is sabicas@niva.no. We try to continuously share new activities and project results, also using Twitter under #SABICAS. I would then like to end my talk saying thank you to the organizers for the invitation and the opportunity to present SABICAS to you, and for all of you in the audience for your attention.